Shabbat Shalom. We are really grateful to have all of you here to celebrate this morning, to have a time to celebrate Shabbat, a day for rest, joy, music, family, and peace, and this most special Shabbat, as these two wonderful human beings will become B'nai Mitzvah, stand on their bima before family and friends, to lead and to teach, to take on the next layer of covenant and responsibility amongst the Jewish people. But for this miraculous moment to work, for B'nai Mitzvah to happen, Hollis and Arthur, they need you. They can't teach if no one learns or lead if no one follows. So your joyful participation with us this morning helps make this moment happen. So what you'll find either under you or in front of you is our green Siddur, our green prayer book. For the most part, the right-hand side of the page is Hebrew. The left-hand side is translations and transliteration and extra poetry and writings around the edges as well. We hope that you will read and sing along with us this morning. What do you say, friends? Should we start? You ready? All right, come take your spots, and we'll invite Safta Phyllis to come present our B'nai Mitzvah with our talitotes.
Many of us wear a talit when we gather in synagogue to pray as a community. But as comforting and important as community is, I think of a talit as a personal shelter. We wrap ourselves in it as we pray or meditate, and it becomes our own private space. So I've tried to make these talitot reflect something meaningful to each of you as you stand in your own space. Arthur, on the neckband of your talit is a line I embroidered in Hebrew that you will read this morning. It says, "There never was again a prophet like Moses who knew God face to face." Now, the word used in Hebrew meaning to know, and there are several, is a very intimate word. It isn't just, oh yeah, I know that guy. No, rather it means truly to know that person deeply and even intimately. I believe this is a model of what we want all our most important relationships to be, whether they're parent and child, sibling to sibling, cousin to cousin, friend to friend, and spouse to spouse. Hollis, you read at the beginning of our Torah when the world was not yet formed and all is chaotic and void, tohu vavohu, that God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. Whether you believe all order was brought into being by the word of God or by the Big Bang, it's so amazing that light, which is another form of energy, you know, was the beginning of everything in both the scientific and the Torah poetic sense. Seeing the light is a powerful way to go through life. Up until the time that the two of you were born, we only had twins in your generation. But as babies, you acted very much like twins, and I used to joke that your mothers were sharing a pair of twins. But as babies, you acted very much like twins. You would sit on the floor babbling away at each other, and you seemed to understand what the other was saying. Now, as you have grown, you still have a strong bond, even as you are still very much your own person. For an example, one of the things you both love is artwork and drawing, but you approach it in different ways and styles. So I wanted the design at the bottom of the talitot to show a bond and yet allow for your individuality. Also, I wanted something that shows you each to have room to grow and dream. So on the one hand, the bottom of each tallit is similar, blocks of irregular space, as if for a graphic novel. But there is only background. The story is not yet filled in. That is what you will do as you move through life. The hand is embroidered there, ready to draw the paths you will each take, the interests you develop, and by the decisions you make. Saba and I, and indeed your whole family, can't begin to imagine what those choices will be. But we know for sure that you are off to a great start, and that with the love and support of your family and friends who truly know you face to face, you will each bring light and energy into our world. We say amen.
Amen.
46.
What?
Don't unfold it. Leave it like that.
Oh, okay. So I just give it to him. Okay.
Let's say our blessing.
Okay.
Come on up. Say the blessing. 1, 2, 3.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzit.
Amen.
Take it. That's it. Yes, you got it.
While we get situated up here, and before we continue, we're going to invite Grandma Gail to come on up to talk to us briefly about the special talit, the special Torah scroll in our ark this morning.
Shabbat Shalom. Mazel tov to Hollis, my grandson, and to Arthur, his cousin, on both of you becoming a bar mitzvah today. Grandpa Larry, Scott's father, and I have looked forward to this day for 13 years. Larry and I are proud and delighted beyond words to be here today. The moment Hollis was born, he became and still is my favorite grandson. And he knows it. There is not even a close second favorite grandson. I have 6 grandchildren. Do the math. The other grandchildren, Danny Mendel, Moshe Arenstein, Eloise Schiamberg, Ellery Mendel, Risa Schiamberg, are my 5 favorite granddaughters. Hollis is a gentleman and a scholar. He is kind and respectful. When given a task to do, he'll get it done quickly and efficiently. Today, we're all here to help celebrate this joyous occasion, this Simcha. But I first must thank Hollis and Arthur for having their bar mitzvah, or becoming a bar mitzvah, when the Michigan State game is an away game against the University of Michigan this evening. I've been assigned the task of telling everyone here about the Spiritist family Torah. Hollis will read from that Torah, and so will Arthur. No, Arthur, you're different. I'm sorry, different Torah. My brother Bob Spiritus, my identical twin sister Brenda Spiritus-Scobus, and I own this Torah. The Torah literally belongs to Bob, to Brenda, and to me. In the future, my children, Scott Schiamberg, Bruce Schiamberg, and Elizabeth Mendel, and all future generations will become owners of the Torah. The history of the Spiritist family Torah begins with the marriage of my grandmother, Celia Goldstein, to my grandfather, Morris Spiritus, in 1901 in St. Louis, Missouri. Shortly after getting married, Morris and Celia moved to Belleville, Illinois, where my grandfather established a scrap iron business. They purchased a house next to the small Orthodox synagogue, Temple Beth Israel, that was and is still 4 blocks from the center of town. In addition to being one of the founding members of the temple in Belleville, my grandfather, Morris Spiritus, commissioned the writing of the Spiritus Torah and donated it around the time of World War II to the synagogue. This very special Torah is about 85 years old. I remember my father often talking about our Torah when I was growing up and attending services at Temple Beth Israel, but I did not really understand the meaning of what he was saying. I assumed during high holiday services, and in fact during all services, all parents told their children that the Torah was theirs in a broader sense of the meaning. Only after my father passed away did I learn that the scribe who handwrote this Torah, all 304,805 Hebrew letters written on 96 feet of 68 parchment skins with no mistakes, that can take as long as 1.5 years to complete, was my great-uncle Max Baca. Max was my grandmother's oldest sister, Bessie Goldstein's husband. Max is Hollis's great-great-great-uncle. Today, this Torah is lovingly referred to as the Spiritus Family Torah. In 1990, the only synagogue in East St. Louis, Illinois, Agudas Achim, merged with the only synagogue in Belleville, Temple Beth Israel, to form Agudas Achim Beth Israel. Tourists from East St. Louis were brought to Belleville, which is a neighboring city. Since the Ark in the Belleville synagogue could not hold all of the combined tours, many had to be stored in a back room. In 1989, my brother Bob Spiritus and his wife, my sister-in-law Joan Spiritus, joined Adat Sholom Reconstructionist Congregation in Bethesda, Maryland, a year after it was founded. Adat Sholom congregation had only one Torah. In 1990, Bob had an idea. Since the Belleville synagogue had extra Torahs and his temple only had one, why not lease or purchase the Spiritus Torah and loan it to his temple? For months, Bob frequently contacted everyone he knew at Temple Beth Israel and some people he did not know. Nothing happened. But Bob could not get answers from anyone. Finally, he told Brenda, my twin sister, to take charge. Brenda did. Long story shortened, Adat Sholom leased the Torah from Bob, Brenda, and me in 1990 after Bob had a formal legal lease of Torah agreement written. The Torah was formally purchased in September 2019 by my brother Bob, my sister Brenda, and me. The Spiritus Torah is now read from on a regular basis as Adat Sholom in Bethesda, Maryland, where my brother and sister-in-law still belong, and where it will remain until it would pass from the Spiritus generation to the next. Bob read from the Spiritus Family Torah in 1956 when he became a bar mitzvah. At the 1992 ceremony, when the Torah was installed as Adat Sholom, Bob chanted for the first time from the Spiritus Family Torah. Joan, Brenda, and I were each given an honor, an aliyah, to bless the Torah. Today, Larry and I will also be given an aliyah to bless the Spiritus Family Torah when we are called to the bimah. In 2006, Brenda and I were 50, we began studying to each become a bat mitzvah. When Joan and Bob heard Brenda and I were going to become a bat mitzvah, they brought the Spiritus Family Torah to Mansfield, Ohio, so that we could chant from it. When Bob and Joan were told when my granddaughters Marie and Eloise were each going to become a bat mitzvah on October 10, 2020, Bob and Joan carefully helped deliver the Torah here. When granddaughter Ellery Mendel became a bat mitzvah on December 12, 2021 in Watkinsville, Georgia, they again delivered the Spiritus Torah. Today, Bob and Joan's unincorporated, tax-exempt business, Have Torah Will Travel, once again made arrangements so that Spiritus Family Torah could be here today for Hollis's bar mitzvah. Thanks once again. Marie and Eloise each made their own yad before they became a bat mitzvah here at Kol Ami. Hollis recently made his own yad that he will be using today. Thank you. I also have my own yad. In the future, everyone can chant Torah from the Spirit's Torah using one of many family yadim and can continue to pass the Spirit's family Torah and all of the yadim from generation to generation. Today, 85 years after it was written, we pass the Torah from generation to generation, door by door. Hollis is part of the 5th Spiritist generation since the Torah was written. Yes, it's been 5 generations since this Torah was commissioned by my grandfather, Morris Spiritus, and donated to Temple Beth Israel in Belleville, Illinois. Today, the Spiritist family Torah continues on its remarkable journey. In conclusion, I have a small gift for Hollis. This special gift was originally a gift to your father, Scott, after Scott was born. This small plaque hung on the wall in your father's room for many, many years. I saved it for this special occasion. It's an etched picture of a 15-year-old man, a bar mitzvah, holding a Torah. Thanks, you're welcome.
Et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lo Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai noten haTorah.
ויעל משה מערבות מואב אל הר נבו ראש הפסגה אשר על פני יריחו וילכו אדוני את כל הארץ את הגלעד עד דן ואת כל נפתלי ואת ארץ אפרים ומנשה ואת כל ארץ יהודה עד הים האחרון ואת הנגב ואת הכיכר בקעת יריחו עיר התמרים עד צוער ויאמר אדוני אליו זאת הארץ אשר נשבעתי לאברהם, ליצחק וליעקב לאמור לזרעך אתננה הריתיך ועיניך ושמה לא תעבור.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Right, now all of you hug him. All of you hug him.
Yeah, not a problem.
I forgot to give you a page number. If you'd like to follow along in the big navy blue book that says the Torah, we're on page 1427. We're at Deuteronomy chapter 34, picking up here at verse number 5. Again, page 1427, chapter 34, verse 5. Okay. For Aliyah number 2. Ya'amdu Yaakov Yonina bat Fega Bluma va'Avraham ufesach l'Aliyah haTorah. Mom and Dad. You got the tissues too? You're allowed to have this. That's good. It's good to have this.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamborach. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim
ונתן לנו את תורתו, ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Wait here. Vayamat Sham Moshe Eved Adonai Be'eretz Moav Al Pi Adonai Vaikbor Oto Vagai Be'eretz Moav Mul Bet Peor Velo Yeda Ish Et Kvurato Ad Hayom Hazeh Umoshe Ben 120 Shana Bemoto Lo Hahata Eno Velo Nas Lecho Vayivku Bnei Yisrael Et Moshe Be'arvot Moav 30 Yom ויתמו ימי וכי אבל משה ויהושע בן נון מלא רוח חכמה כי שמח משה את ידיו עליו וישמעו אליו בני ישראל ויעשו כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
This is when we come to Mitzvah. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, good. Yamod, 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 Binyamin Hadar, mi Bet Yaakov Yonina Ufesach, La'aliyah b'nei Mitzvah. You need this. There we go.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim venatan lanu et torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
ולא קם נביא עוד בישראל כמשה אשר ידעו אדוני פנים אל פנים לכל האותות והמופתים אשר שלחו אדוני לעשות בארץ מצרים לפרעה וכל עבדיו וכל ארצו, וכל היד החזקה, וכל המורה הגדול, אשר עשה משה לעיני כל ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
All right. So, you want to do this? We'll do that too. Good. All right. All right. That was some beautiful chanting. Will you also teach us some Torah?
Sure.
Good answer. All right. Good. Let's just wrap this up for a moment. Let's wrap this up. One second.
In my Torah portion, which is called Vazot HaBracha, Moses speaks his last speech to the 12 tribes before they go into the Promised Land. He isn't allowed to enter, so he is trying to guide them before his passing. Even though he won't be there physically, he will still help them. He speaks to each and every tribe, getting his message across to them, getting his message across to each and every one in ways that are fit for them. He then hikes up Mount Nebo to pass away peacefully there. I think it was really interesting that he wanted to guide each tribe differently, rather than giving one blessing for everyone. It may take more work for him, but it helps them more. Each blessing is specific for the tribe and where they need to grow. From this portion of the Torah, I think we can learn that guidance is necessary, but not everybody should be guided the same. Moses is passing on his wisdom and thoughts to help guide the people, to get them started in the Promised Land. He's planting the seeds and teaching them how to grow. But he's not saying everyone has to do the same thing to grow. He's giving them separate instructions that work for them. It is a really important thing to be able to guide people, but we should do it in a way that works for them and highlights their strengths and addresses their weaknesses. This all actually happens in our daily lives, though. One example is that if a class took a test, and some people got really good scores, and some people got really bad scores, after the test, the teacher would help each student improve on what they could do to get a better understanding of the material. If a student did badly, the teacher would help them where they needed help. And if a student did well, the teacher would help challenge them and make them improve more. Another example is in my 7th grade orchestra class. We were a pretty small class, so the teacher could hear how each student played. He would assign extra homework assignments if we saw a struggle with a piece. For example, if I was playing measures 18 to 24 off tempo, then I would have an extra homework assignment that night. At first, I really didn't like it because, 1, I didn't want to have homework assignments, and 2, I didn't want to have homework assignments. But it did do 2 things. Whenever I was playing badly, it helped me improve and give me reason to. It would also make me play better in class with the threat of having homework that night. He did this because he wanted to help each person improve. You don't have to be a teacher to guide someone either. In science class in 7th grade, we had a news assignment for which we had to use a green screen to get a background for. Most people didn't know how to use the green screen in iMovie, but I was one of the few kids that did. Sometimes I would go around in class helping some kids figure it out, and so I would support them in a way that helped them find a way to figure out how to use the green screen and remember how to use it. So not only would they stop bugging me, but they would be able to help others. You also don't need to be a leader to help people, but if you have the opportunity to guide someone, you should. And if you're going to guide someone, you should do it in a way that really works for them, in place of their strengths, and addresses their weaknesses. Whether that be beating a level in a video game, finishing their homework, or studying in a test. Everyone needs help in different ways. For my Mitzvah project, I partnered with the JED Foundation and incorporated some of their resources into the 8th grade health class. The JED Foundation is an organization that spreads awareness on teen mental health. I found them because I believe this is a serious topic that isn't taken seriously enough. Since the 8th grade health curriculum has implemented the same topics into the class already, I decided with the health teacher to add it as an extra resource to let students extend their learning. Another thing I'm continuing to work on is printing out posters from the JED Foundation and putting them around the school to spread awareness. I learned that mental health awareness isn't always discussed, but some places can talk about it, like my school. It felt good to know I was helping spread awareness for a good cause, and my goal is to have people really understand how serious teen mental health is. I want to thank everybody who has guided me in the ways that helped me on my process to become B'nai Mitzvah. Specifically, I would like to thank my parents for encouraging me to practice no matter how many times I thought I could do it without practicing. I would like to thank my tutor, Itamar, for teaching me my portion and making me want to practice. I would like to thank Safda and Saba for making my talit. I would also like to thank my friend Miles for reminding me to practice when I was at sleepaway camp, no matter how awkward it was. I'd like to thank my brother Solomon for teaching me patience in the most annoying way possible. I would like to thank Cantor Danny, Rabbi Fenster, and everyone at Kolami. I would like to thank my cousin Hollis for being there with me and making this all a little more special. Lastly, I would like to thank everyone here today for coming to support me and Hollis. Shabbat Shalom.
I would also like to thank your tutor, Itamar, for giving you an awesome Israeli accent when you chant Hebrew. We'll invite Dod Moshe up for some words of aspiration for the state of Israel. Aspiration and hope? That sound good? Better than prayer? Yeah. I thought I wasn't allowed to say blessing. All right, good. We'll take it.
Not allowed to say prayer.
I'm not allowed to say prayer. All right, blessing. Good.
Usually go all the way back to page 1 and redo the whole thing in Hebrew, but not today. Not today. Just a very short blessing for the state of Israel that is on my mind. May the state of Israel be a home worthy of a good life for all its citizens, where love, community, and peace is plenty, where fairness, positive action, and good-hearted voluntarism is ample, and where hate, corruption, fear, and anxiety have no place. May we bless Israel's leaders with wisdoms, and that they may be guided by good advice and good intentions. May we bless the security and rescue forces wherever they are. May they be protected and return home safely. We wish to see all the captives and the missing back home, whole in body and soul. And we bless all the residents of Israel, regardless of faith, who work for justice, freedom, and tranquility. We wish Israel better days ahead. We just wish for peace. Thank you.
Okay. Hollis. So we'll continue our Torah reading at the very, very beginning, which naturally is on page 19. It's Jewish. It's got a lot of preamble first. So we'll be reading from the very beginning of Torah, from Parshat Bereshit. Ooh. All right, and for our fourth aliyah this morning, Ya'amdu Eliezer ben Leib Miriam Malchad Gittel bat Livsha Avraham la'aliyah HaTorah. Grandpa, Grandma, and Saba. That's good.
Baruch Hu es Adonai Amvorach, Baruch Adonai Amvorach leolam voed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'nasan lanu es toraso, Baruch Atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz v'haaretz hayita tohu vavohu v'choshech al pnei tehom Veruach Elohim mirachefet al pnei hamayim. Vayomer Elohim yehi or, vayhi or. Vayar Elohim et haor ki tov. Vayavdel Elohim bein ha'or uvein ha'choshech. Vayikra Elohim la'or yahom v'lachoshech kara laila. Vayhi erev vayhi voker yom echad.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai, notein haTorah.
For Aliyah number 5. Ya'amdu Yonina Yaakova bat Vega Bluma v'Avraham v'Simcha Raphael ben Eliezer u'Malcha Gittel v'Lior bat Yonina Yaakova v'Simcha Raphael u'Meira bat Yonina Yaakova v'Simcha Raphael alei Torah. Mom, Dad, sisters, front and center.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamborach. Baruch Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai, Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Vayomer Elohim Yehi Rakia Betoch Hamayim Vihi Mavdil Bein Mayim Lamayim Vayas Elohim Et Harakia Vayavdel Bein hamayim asher mitachat larakia uvein hamayim asher me'al larakia vayichen vayikra Elohim larakia shamayim Vayhi erev, vayhi voker, yom sheni.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, notein haTorah. Amen.
I know. Oh, yeah.
All right. Ready to become bar mitzvah?
Yeah.
All right, good. Yamod, 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 Yamod. Yamod le ben Simcha Raphael v'Yaakov Yonina l'Aliyah bar mitzvah.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Vayomer Elohim Yikavu Hamayim Mitachat Hashamayim El Makom Echad V'Teira'eh Hayabasha Vayichen Vayikra Elohim Layabasha Eretz Ulmikve Hamayim Kara Yamim Vayar Elohim Kitov Vayomer Elohim Tadshe Haaretz Deshe Esev Mazri Azera Etz Peri ose peri lemino asher zarovo el haaretz vayehi chen vatotze haaretz deshe Esev Mazri Yazera Leminehu Ve'et Oseperi Asher Zarovo Leminehu Vayar Elohim Kitov Vayhi Erev Vayhi Voker Yom Shalishi Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful chanting. Thank you so much. I'll take that. All right. Hollis. Oh, there you go. You know what to do. You can teach us a little Torah? Yep. Hold on. Cantor, will you hand me that cover? Crowded up here.
Yeah.
Lots of Torahs. It's good. All right. Nice and slow.
My Torah portion is called Bereshit. It means in the beginning. In the beginning, God creates the light, the sky, the earth, the beasts of the earth, and humans. God creates Adam and puts him in the Garden of Eden. God sees Adam is alone, so he makes him a helpmate. God takes Adam's rib while he's sleeping and uses it to create another human that Adam calls Eve. Everything is going well in the Garden of Eden until the snake convinces Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge, and she convinces Adam to do the same. When God finds out, God forces Adam and Eve out of the garden, telling them they must now work for their food, and the snake loses his legs and is forced to crawl on his belly. When Adam and Eve leave the garden, God does not want them to have access to the tree of life, so God guards it using flaming swords. Later, Eve births Cain and Abel, who both make sacrifices to God, but only Abel's is accepted, so out of spite, Cain kills Abel. When God asks after Abel, Cain feigns ignorance about his brother's whereabouts, asking, "Am I my brother's keeper?" In the end, God is upset with the humans and regrets creating them. The Torah starts out with creation and all this beauty that God had put into the world, but as soon as humans are added, they mess up what God had planned with their lies, lack of responsibility, jealousy, and violence. From the beginning, Bereshit introduces us to the theme of responsibility and connection. God begins creation with a base to support life, the light, the earth, and the sea. From this come the plants, which grow in the land and the sea, using the light. Then come the beasts of the earth, who feed on the plants and other animals, filling out the ecosystem. Finally, humans are created to care for everything that came before them. It seems like God intended everything created to take care of each other in a way that balances itself out. Man's responsibility for the earth seems possible, but not easy. We see the first failures of man's sense of responsibility when the serpent convinces Eve to eat the forbidden fruit, who then convinces Adam to do the same. God asks both of them why they did it, and Adam blames Eve for convincing him, and Eve blames the snake for tricking her. Neither of them takes responsibility for their actions. Similarly, when Cain has made the terrible decision to kill his brother, he immediately tries to avoid the consequences of his actions by lying and rejecting his responsibility. From the severity of this reaction, I think God really valued honesty and taking responsibility. God had trusted Adam and Eve to take care of creation, and they couldn't even take responsibility for themselves. Their child went even further by actively harming God's creation. I think we can learn from these stories that you shouldn't prioritize pride or self-protection over doing the right thing. You must admit when you are wrong, not to look to blame someone else, because you cannot make amends for a problem you haven't taken responsibility for creating. And making amends is the way we repair our mistakes. Becoming a bar mitzvah is a big step towards adulthood, and I think taking responsibility for myself is an important lesson to learn. When I was a young child, everything was done for me. My parents fed me and gave me a safe place to live. When I wanted to play, my sisters would lift me out of my crib and bring me my toys. As I got older, I learned to do things for myself, like dressing for myself and cooking for myself. I've learned how to cook many things I love, such as tortellini and... moving on. But now, as a bar mitzvah, I'm not only doing things for myself, but also for others. I'm now more responsible for the world around me. For the last year, I have regularly worked as a pet sitter, and I knew I always had to show up on time, because if I hadn't, the pets would go hungry, the dogs would be left feeling abandoned and scared, and if you don't give a cat the attention they want, bad things happen. I feel the weight of my responsibility towards these creatures when I do my job well. They reward me with love and affection. For my mitzvah project, I donated the money I earned pet sitting to an animal shelter I volunteer at called Paws Crossed. Paws Crossed brings in dogs and cats from high-kill shelters and cares for them until they find their forever home. It's a place that takes in pets that need to be taken care of, not just the ones we choose to have in our individual homes, but pets anywhere that need safety. It is another way to take responsibility for God's creations, and one which I take seriously as I grow into this new level of personal responsibility. Many people have taught me and guided me on my path to becoming a bar mitzvah, and I would like to thank them for their wisdom and patience. I would like to thank Cantor Danny and Rabbi Fenster for helping me learn my prayers, Mora Pam for teaching me my Torah portion, Leah for helping me write my Devar Torah, my mom, dad, and sisters for being so loving and supportive, Safta for making my talit, and Saba for paying for it, as he always does. Grandma and Grandpa for providing the beautiful family Torah and helping me practice. Arthur for going through this process with me. His sense of humor made the whole thing more fun. Finally, I would like to thank all of you who came here to celebrate with me today. It's so meaningful to have you here. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, good. Let's go with that. Please be seated. We'll take a moment now for blessing. So we'll start with Judith and Patrick. Come on up.
Okay. Arthur, one of the things that I love and value about being a Jew are the rituals and holidays that come not only as part of the Jewish calendar, but as part of the Jewish life cycle. There is something about the high holy days and Shabbat that force you throughout the week and the year to stop, breathe, take stock, and appreciate. But the way we also celebrate major moments throughout the course of a life feels even more momentous and therefore that much more special. And now, as ever, these things are not to be taken for granted. When you were born, we had 8 days of private joy before we introduced you to your Jewish and larger community with the ritual circumcision and brunch, that is, the Brit Milah. Our Jewish wedding was one of the most joyful days of my life with your daddy, being hoisted aloft to the hora after stepping out from under the chuppah, as well as dancing to the Phyllis prescribed performance of It's Raining Men by the Weather Girls. It was a party. Which is why I'm so joyful and proud that we are here today to celebrate your efforts to grow within the Jewish community as a B'nai Mitzvah, along with your cousin Hollis. Arthur, you have always been an enthusiastic, inclusive, and community-minded kind of kid. The more the merrier could be your motto. You've brought that spirit as a madrich, or classroom helper, for the younger Sunday school classes, and your desire to share the work of the Jed Foundation with your classmates. Your inclination is to welcome and to include, and I hope you feel that warmth reflected back to you today. Today you are surrounded with unconditional love and support by your Jewish family. You are also so lucky to have the unconditional love and support of your non-Jewish relatives who have offered this from day one, also to me and your dad. I hope for you to feel proud of yourself for the work you put in to do such a beautiful job today. Joyful to be able to celebrate this day surrounded by so many friends and family, and excited to continue your relationship as a Jewish adult. I love you so much. No cap.
Arthur, I came to Judaism late in life when I met your mother. I was already an adult. I didn't know anything about Shabbat, or the beauty of the Avinu Malkeinu, or the shofar, which I'm still not yet passable at blowing, but I'm this close to passable. I learned about all of that only after your mother and I decided to become a family. So I cannot tell you what a privilege it has been to watch you, my own child, grow from scratch into a Jewish adult these past 13 years. Your mother just spoke about the importance of community to Jewish life, and what I find most gratifying about your journey is how you so clearly have come to understand the value of community. You've chosen a great group of supportive and loyal friends. You stand up for them, and they stand up for you in return. You stand up to bullies. You stand up for your little brother, Solomon, sometimes taking up his cause when he's gotten into trouble with mom and dad. You're there for your cousin Daphne when she needs you, and you know she's there for you. You spend time with your Safta, learning her secrets on how to make the perfect biryani. You have developed a deep love for Cleveland sports to bond with your papa, for which I should truly, truly apologize. That is a burden I should not have placed upon you, but I am proud of you for shouldering it with gusto. Go Cavs. Okay. And of course, your lifelong friendship with Hollis, which has led to this moment today. But most of all, your bar mitzvah today has shown me what you can accomplish when you focus and put in the work. I'm absolutely blown away at how good you are at reading Hebrew. And your speech was so thoughtful and filled with wisdom. Your drash basically described my own managerial philosophy, one that took me 20 years to understand. That you gleaned this message straight from the Torah is a testament to your own insight, as well as the universal lessons embedded within the Torah. And what it shows me is that you have a keen sense of your own strengths and weaknesses. That is a gift. Knowing this about yourself gives you the power to do for yourself what Moses did for the Israelites, the power to give yourself good counsel. Take it with you everywhere and use it to help your community as you forge your own path as a Jewish adult.
Beautiful. Scott and Rebecca.
4 years ago, on this same weekend in the Jewish calendar, I stood in a nearly empty synagogue and told my children that my favorite part of Judaism was the way that the holidays and life cycle events compel us to stop and appreciate the week or the season or the important stages of our life. Clearly, we're sisters. And I told them that on Shabbat, we come together as an immediate family. On the holidays, we celebrate with our extended family. And in normal times, we celebrate our children becoming B'nai Mitzvah, this new level of Jewish adult responsibility, surrounded by our loved ones from all over the country. Although I knew so many of you were watching online, standing in front of only 14 family members at the time, I mourned the opportunity to celebrate that milestone for the girls, even as I praised them for their optimism and good-natured flexibility. Looking out at all of you, our friends and family who traveled from all over to be with us, I cannot tell you how grateful we are for your presence, for the opportunity to share this moment in our child's life with the people that we love, the family and friends who make us the people we are. Thank you so much for being here, and what a difference 4 years makes. Hollis, when Saba was a little boy, his mother, my Grandma Midge, described him as a child whose interests were multitudinous. She may just as well have been describing you. I remember when you were a toddler, sitting in the town's baby pool, playing with your toy dinosaurs, when another toddler approached you with his mother. The other boy picked up a dinosaur, and his mother said, "Ooh, a Stygimoloch. Before I could correct her, you said, "Oh no, that's a pachycephalosaurus." To which she replied, "Of course, you're right, look at his head." The mother and I looked at each other and we laughed because we both knew that a year earlier, neither one of us would have even known what a pachycephalosaurus was. Now we were analyzing plastic figurines with our children like experts because we were raising children whose interest in the subject ran deep and whose thirst for knowledge had forced us to become assistant paleontologists just to keep up with you. Eventually, your interests evolved. You've gone through seasons of curiosity. First dinosaurs, then Toy Story, knitting, then Steven Universe, The Owl House, and Amphibia, now Will Wood, Dungeons & Dragons, and your own animations. But you aren't content to consume your interests. You share them with us. I've cheered and wept over TV shows I'd never have chosen to watch on my own. I hum music during the day that I'd never have found left to my own algorithm. As much as your interests have expanded and changed, one thing has been consistent. You've always loved a good story, a chance to create, and the act of sharing both with the people you love. It is fitting that your Torah portion is Bereshit, God's creation of earth. You embody this divine spark of creativity, this burning desire to work and shape and build something new. During the pandemic, a bleak and frightening time for people all over the world, your response was to create. You took up knitting, first making yourself a pink hat that became a source of comfort and pride for you, but you didn't stop there. You went on to make hats for the majority of your classmates, allowing them to choose their color, and when they had no preference, finding the color you thought was just right for them. The act of knitting for your class in the pandemic was creation and compassion and quirkiness. It was a perfect representation of you. So, Hollis, my blessing to you is this. May you continue to be the wonderful, joyful, creative, hardworking, loving, sweet, silly, kind child that you have grown to be. And may you feel blessed knowing that Daddy and I love you for exactly the person you are. May you always feel the love, support, and companionship of your sisters and all those whom you love. And finally, when you will face difficult times in the future, as everyone does, may you be confident in your creativity, your compassionate nature, and your generosity to transform those things that are challenging into strengths and triumphs. We love you.
All right. Hollis and Arthur, Mazel Tov. Hollis, we are so proud of you and happy to celebrate this B'nai Mitzvah today. You are a wonderful, kind, creative, smart, and a thoughtful person. Mommy, Eloise, Murray, Winnie, and I all love you very much. Hollis, when you were born 2 weeks late, and like your mother, just happy to be in pajamas and be in no rush to go anywhere. This unhurried approach to life has become your signature. You take in the world around you with a wonderfully unique perspective that reminds me of Nuke Lelouch from the movie Bull Durham, and his philosophical wisdom. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains. You have a special gift for finding the deeper meaning and expressing complex truths in beautifully simple and often humorous ways. And you have a remarkable ability to notice what others miss, to find the humor in unexpected places, and to share observations that are both innocent and profound. The French call these bon mots, we call them hoolicisms. The first hoolicism I ever wrote down was when you were 3 years old. After I put you in your crib and told you to go to bed, you matter-of-factly replied, "Daddy, I can't go to bed now. I haven't told you all my big ideas." As much as I would like to spend the next 20 minutes reciting all my favorite hoolicisms, I want to talk about where your names come from. And I'll throw in a few hoolicisms just for good measure. To start, we need to understand the Hebrew phrase lador vador. Lador vador comes from Jewish scripture and translates from generation to generation. It is the sharing of spiritual knowledge and cultural traditions between generations. It also teaches us that each member of a family plays a role in shaping who we are through our shared values and history. Hollis, you are chock full of lador vador, and your family history is embedded not only in your names, but who you are as a person. We have a side of the family from Chicago that created great couture. And we have a family from Brooklyn that was the insurer of great things. Another side of the family in Chicago built great things, and there's a side of the family from St. Louis in the demolition business that has torn down great things. Another kind of Lador Vador. It is from this family history where you get your first name, which honors your great-grandmother, Hilda Friedman. Great-grandma Hilda was a get-to-the-essence-of-things person with a dry and clever wit. Hollis, when you were 5 years old, you channeled your inner great-grandma Hilda while we were watching the movie Star Wars. As the introductory text, the Death Star, an armored space station with enough power to destroy an entire planet, was scrolling across the screen, you deadpanned to everyone in a silent theater, "Oh, that's not going to be good." Your middle name comes from your great-great-grandmother, Lucy Fitch Perkins, who was a remarkable and creative author and illustrator. You also see things and express them in a way that gives others joy. Mommy and I still have your third grade language arts homework where you found joy and humor in an otherwise perfunctory assignment. Asked to write an adverb to describe the given verb, a few of your responses were tiptoes loudly, examines carelessly, dances terribly, searches blindly. Verbs assigned, Hollis Schiamberg take on adverbs provided. Finally, your Hebrew name, Leib, which translates to mean the soul, heart, or conscience of a person, comes from your great-grandfather, Louis Schiamberg. The first part of what your Hebrew name is so special is how it brings us full circle in the family. You are Leib ben Simcha. I am Simcha Raphael ben Eliezer, and your grandfather is Eliezer ben Leib, another Lador Vador circle. Great-Grandpa Louis was sweet and kind and appreciated the joy and happiness around him. You share a way of making those around you feel like Grandpa Louis did. As a 7-year-old, Mommy, taking you to the doctor's office, told you had to get shots. And she shared an anecdote about how when your grandparents were your age, kids could get a disease called polio, and then they couldn't walk. And you responded with optimistic wonder, "Wait, so they could only run?" Hollis, you share wonderful qualities from these remarkable people. The perceptive wit of great-grandma Hilda, the creativity of Lucy Fitch, and the compassion of great-grandpa Louis. You are the person who puts your own Halloween candy into the empty bowl while trick-or-treating, thinking of others who will follow. You are the universal friend and cousin who everyone wants to sit next to and travel with. You think of others and their feelings before your own, and in short, you're the kind of person who makes others want to be better by your example. Your namesakes were very special people, and your character, kindness, creativity, and wit echoes their finest qualities. We want to thank Rabbi Fenster, Cantor Danny, Maura Pam, and the entire temple staff. We are grateful to your grandparents, Saba and Safta, Grandma 1, Grandma 2, and Grandpa for being here today, and blessed for all that they have done for you. A special thank you to Great Aunt Joan and Uncle Bob for sharing the Spirit as Torah, and especially meaningful Lador Vador. And to Judith, I want to thank you for all that you have done to make this day and this weekend so special. Finally, we want to thank all our family and friends who are here with us and those joining remotely. Hollis, your personality, character, and kindness inspires great hope for the future. Mommy and I hope that these qualities, informed by your Lador Vador, will embolden, guide, and always provide inspiration to you and those around you. We wish for you a long and happy future filled with adventure, dreams to chase, and an enduring hope that will always guide you. We love you. Mazel tov.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
All right, friends. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good.
You're feeling good, good. You should feel good. We are really proud of you. We are really proud of you. Would you like presents?
Yeah, I'll take
Yeah, okay, great. All right.
Sure, why not?
So we will invite a member of our Board of Trustees who I think you might know. Daughter Rachel will come up to give you some gifts and say nice things to you.
Hollis, Arthur, presenting gifts at the B'nai Mitzvah is the most fun responsibility as a member of the Kol Ami board. and particularly in a case where the recipients are people I have known and loved their entire lives. There are many lessons that can be drawn from this week's Torah portion, and you shared so many of them with us. Hollis, you talked about taking responsibility for our actions. Don't think that the entire family won't remind you about this going forward for the rest of your life. But you have each taken responsibility for your Jewish learning and preparing for the day. Hollis, we wish for you a life full of wonder at the marvels that surround us in the world. We know that you will figure out your own thoughtful, sensitive way to add creativity and beauty to the world. Arthur, we wish for you a life surrounded by people who will see you as an individual and will love and guide you in ways that are suited to you and your gifts and strengths, so that you gain the wisdom of Moshe, both your Dod and the prophet. I and your entire immediate and extended family are proud of you. You've each worked hard for this day, and as your Torah portions remind us, this week marks both an end and a beginning, and I hope that this will be a beginning of you deciding your own relationship with Judaism. And so on behalf of Kol Ami, I present each of you with a Kiddush cup from the Women of Reform Judaism, our sisterhood, the Plaut Commentary and Torah founded by the Men's Council, a membership to the Jewish Museum in New York City, and as you both know, I love dragging children to museums, and I will take you anytime you want. And although each of you have already been to Israel, you're gifted a certificate in the amount of $3,275 from Yella Israel, formerly known as NIFTY, the North American Federation of Temple Youth, to be used towards any Yella Israel summer high school program in Israel. And when you're ready to go on such a trip, Kol Ami will be pleased to offer an additional scholarship. And Moshe and I certainly hope that you will go again someday. We wish you all Mazal Tov and a wonderful rest of the day.
As she said, those were beautiful teachings you gave, and they fit together so nicely. Both, as you said, Arthur, that how we have to see each person for who they are and care for their individual needs, and then the responsibility not just to see them for who they are, but to live that out in our actions. That's a really worthy lesson, a beautiful pairing, and one that's going to stick with me and I imagine with your family and friends for quite some time too. All right, so we will continue with Kiddush and Motzi, because we're going to go eat after, so we'll say some blessings first. We're going to invite your parents and siblings to come up, and we're on page 96. And we'll bring them over here. You can, please rise.
I got like the back of the old man. I think it's from the Torah.
Cup.
Oh, more grape
Just
juice.
short Kiddush.
Fermented grape juice.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Challah from Safta. Maybe we'll throw some pieces to you in a moment. Looks really delicious. All right.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
93.
Adon olam asher malach beterem kol yetzir nivra ve'nasa ve'chefsoto azal elech shemo nikra Adon olam asher malach beterem kol yetzir nivra ve'nasa ve'chefsoto azal elech shemo nikra ve'acharei Pachot, Bevado Imno Torah, Behu Haya, Behu Oben, Behu Yebeti Farad, Olam Asher Malach, Beterem Kol Yetzir Nira, Le'nasa V'chesotol, Hazam Elech אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אלי וחי גואלי ותשורתם לי וצרה והוא אישי ובנושי בנת כוסי ויום אקרא ארון עולם אשר מעלה וטרם כל יציר נברא ונשא בחפשותו אזי מלך שמו נקרא בידו הפקיד רוחי ותישן ועירה ועם רוחי גבייתי אדוני לי ולא יירא אדון עולם אשר מעלה בטרם כל יציר נברא ונשא בחפשותו אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם אשר מעלה בטרם כל יציר נברא ונשא בחפשותו אזי מלך שמו נקרא.
Dear God, may this be a Shabbat of joy, of blessing, and of peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Amen.
Mazel Tov.